And
You said, but I put 20 years in. I know the job.
Well, and see, there's other factors sometimes that weigh in. You like you say, you could be on a position for 20 years. New management takes over.
Right.
They put together a brand new system, so they want to have their staff with a
They
certain
want to
type
upgrade the
of with a
staff.
certain type of qualifications.
Right.
So how do you produce this? And I found out from talking to numerous individuals that there's no other way around. There's no other way around education because it's something that can't be taken away from you.
And see, getting this over in your lectures to youngsters throughout the area, how do you do it? That's a tough job.
Well, I've been fortunate. The first I spoke at Northwestern Senior High School.
Yes.
And there were about 200 people. And what happens, you find once you start talking to them, they have a tendency to say, okay, well, maybe this guy does understand what I'm going through. So I try.
Once you give them your background.
Once I give them my background,
right.
because they, when it first starts, they're a little skeptical.
Right.
Why is this guy here?
Right.
What's in it for him?
Right.
I've had individuals ask me, so why are you doing this? And I explain to them, I'm doing this because I care. And I found,
Excellent.
And I found out when you go out, you can't take things personal. So, but I want them to understand that there's people that care about them. And I talk to them. I talk to them before, I talk to them after. And I just let them know, if you keep going, if you stay on this path, I know it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but I try to get them to understand. I guarantee you, if you keep going, you'll turn out and you'll be okay.
Right. And like I said, basically, getting that over, getting past the environment that the youngster is in that maybe cause him. How do you do that?
Well, I think sometimes we have a tendency to criticize our youth a lot. Say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this.
Positiveness.
So I think if we build them up and let them know that you can do anything that you want. I end some of my lectures or speaking engagements. I tell them, believe in greatness. And you can wake up and be average. It doesn't take any work or effort.
No effort.
There's no effort to it at all.
Fall right into the mold.
But to be great, and I don't mean by society standards, by your own standards. It takes work. It takes dedication. But the satisfaction within knowing that you've touched someone, you've helped someone get somewhere. Because if I'm successful and I help someone else, I've really succeeded. Exactly. And that's how I measure if it's working.
If it's effective.
Yes.
Yes. Well, do you find this to be true as far as sex is concerned? The male and female, do you find generally the male is more productive in this, or the female?
Well, from going out, what I've noticed that the females pay more attention. They ask more questions. I think as males sometimes we get caught up about, as we talked about earlier, about being cool. So we may not want to ask a question.
Right.
But I found in a whole though, they work together because one has to help the other. I was reading something last week. 7,000 kids drop out of high school a day nationwide.
7,000 drop out of high school.
Nationwide. That's a very large number. So somewhere we have to help each other. So I think the sexes, male or female, is not as important as long as we get them all back in school as quick as we can.
No, I was just wondering what the trend, out of that 7,000, how many male and females would
that I don't know. They that part wasn't broken down. It just gave me a number nationwide.
Nationwide. Okay, that sounds great. That's fantastic. Now, tell us a little about the more about the success quickly. Okay. that program you had, Blueprint for Success?
Well, like I said, it's just a way to track of what's taking place. Like I say, and actually I use it. This is not something that I just put together, you know, because I found it to be catchy. But even now, I still have long-term goals. I still have a list of short-term goals that I would like to complete.
So you say that youngsters should actually write these things down and periodically check and see if they're on time.
Absolutely, because you have something that you have control over. So this is your own destiny.
Right.
So you can put down what you feel where you want to be. And like I said, so if you have a bump in the road, something's not quite right, you can go back, take a look at your blueprint, and say, okay, well maybe.
Like a blueprint for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you say maybe right
your
now. Your
attainment.
Yes.
The things that you wanted to do. Just like you could do it similar to, hey, I want a house, I want a car, I want this, I want that. You know how people set their goals for different things.
Absolutely.
And you could do the same thing with education. You can say, well, you actually did it. You went through the high school, went through the college, and now you're involved with the master's program. See, next thing I'll be saying Dr. Fitzgerald Walker, you know what I mean?
Well,
you say, hey, there's a PhD goal that I can set. You know, I can do that too. Well, and once you make up your mind, you can do it.
Absolutely, because when I went back to get my high school diploma, my short-term goal was that. My long-term goal was to earn my bachelor's degree. Once I completed my bachelor's degree, I wasn't sure about a master's degree. And by talking to some mentors and individuals that I trust, they said, well, why not? And I thought about it. And before I knew it,
you were in the master's program.
I was in the master's
well, that's
program.
what I predicted. You know, I said next time you're going to show me Dr. Fitzgerald Walker. Well, what I mean? Because that's what you have to do. You have to set goals. You're not going to attain them easily. See, people expect, you know, when you set a goal, you know, well, they just going to fall right. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. You know what I mean? But what you have to do is, like Mr. Walker said, you have to go back when you're off track. Go back and get back on track. You can do that. And here, I like to really congratulate Mr. Fitzgerald Walker. And this is an example of education pays, where Mr. Fitzgerald Walker had problems, you know, and he overcame those problems by developing education goals. And this is what you have to do. Okay, all you youngsters out there, we like to let you see an example here of Miss Fitzgerald Walker, who dropped out of school, which some of you have done, or dropped out of college. Some of them drop out of college too, on those lines. But what happens here is that you've got to continue your education. Education pays. And once again, we like to thank Mr. Fitzgerald Walker for coming on the Ed Brown Show and tell us about him attaining his goal of masters. What we want to do on the Ed Brown, we're going to bring this guy back for his PhD. See you next time.